SQE1 preparation, criminal practice, concurrent and consecutive sentences by Nisir Fizi. Welcome. The learning outcomes are these. This presentation is designed specifically for SQE1 criminal practice students to develop a thorough understanding of how sentencing works in theory and practice. Throughout these slides, I will explore what are concurrent and consecutive sentences, what is the difference between the two, and to understand the total sentence for a defendant who receives a concurrent and consecutive sentence. Please watch all the SQE1 criminal practice classes in the series. By the end, I hope you will have gained a valuable insight into the sentencing process that will help you prepare for your SQE1 examination and your future career as a solicitor. The SQE specification refers to sentencing role of sentencing guidelines, determining seriousness, including aggravating and mitigating facts, concurrent and consecutive sentences, which is what this class is about, mitigation, types of sentence, custodial sentences, suspended sentences, community orders, and Newton hearings. And I've done classes on all of these areas, so please watch those videos. By way of SQE SBAQ tips, what to look out for, look at time management, look at question analysis, and look at common sentencing themes. And in this one, it's really going to be about calculating sentences which are involved in concurrent and consecutive sentences. Remember that SBAQs are often require application of sentencing principles and factual scenarios. And the best way is really to practice working through examples methodically, identifying the relevant guidelines, and following the step-by-step approach to determining the appropriate sentence range. As always, there's a series of test your knowledge questions, and this one there's a true or false quiz here on concurrent and consecutive sentences. Let's just go through these. Number one, true or false, when sentences run concurrently, they are served one after the other. Question two, true or false, consecutive sentences are typically used when offences arise from the same instant. True or false. Question three, the total sentence under concurrent sentencing is equal to the longest individual sentence. Question four, true or false, the Sentencing Council's totality guidelines provide directions on whether sentences should be concurrent or consecutive. Question five, true or false, section 384 of the Sentencing Code relating to the imposition of concurrent sentences. Question six, true or false, a mixed sentence structure may include concurrent sentences for similar offences and a consecutive sentence for a distinct one. Question 7, true or false, a defendant who commits multiple burglaries on the same night will always receive consecutive sentences. Question 8, true or false, the principle of totality ensures that the total sentence reflects the seriousness of the overall criminality. Question 9, true or false, court must always impose concurrent sentences when dealing with indictable only offences. And question 10, true or false, in R versus Hennessy, the Court of Appeal emphasised the need for proportionate total sentences when ordering consecutive terms. The answers are at the end of the class, and remember, you don't need to know the specific names of cases and codes, but I'm doing it just so for your information. Test your knowledge 2. A man is sentenced in the Crown Court for a number of offences of violence. For 2 related offences of assault occasioning actual bodily harm, he is sentenced to 10 months imprisonment for each, which are ordered to run concurrently. For an offence of affray, which is not related to either of the assault offences, he is sentenced to 6 months imprisonment, and this is ordered to run consecutively. When should the man be released from prison? That's the question. Is it option A, after serving 4 months in custody? Is it option B, after serving 16 months in custody? Is it option C, after serving 10 months in custody? Is it option D, after serving 6 months in custody? Or is it option E, after serving 8 months in custody? So let's look at the content and the principles behind concurrent and consecutive sentences. So a concurrent sentence, when sentences are ordered to run concurrently, they are served simultaneously. For example, if someone receives sentences of 3 years and 5 years to run concurrently, the total time served will be 5 years. Concurrent sentences are typically appropriate when offences arise from the same incident or are closely connected in time and nature. And then you compare it to consecutive sentences. When sentences are ordered to run consecutively, they serve one after the other. For example, if someone receives sentences of 3 years and 5 years to run consecutively, the total time served will be 8 years. Consecutive sentences are typically appropriate when offences are separate instances or involve different victims. The decision whether to impose concurrent or consecutive sentences is guided by the totality principle, which requires that the overall sentence be just and proportionate to the overall criminality. Section 384 of the Sentencing Code governs the court's power to order sentences to be served consecutively. The Sentencing Council's definitive guideline on totality provides detailed guidance on when concurrent or consecutive sentences are appropriate. Examples of a concurrent and consecutive sentences. Well, you can see here a concurrent example. A defendant breaks into a house, burglary, and steals items inside, theft. Since the theft occurred as part of the same incident as the burglary, the sentences would typically run concurrently. The court sentences the defendant to 3 years for burglary and 1 year for theft to run concurrently. The defendant therefore serves a total of 3 years. And there's an example of consecutive sentence. A defendant commits an assault in January. While on bail awaiting trial, they commit a burglary in March. These are separate instances committed on different days. The court sentences the defendant to 1 year for the assault and 2 years for the burglary to run consecutively. The defendant serves a total of 3 years. And then there's another example of a mixed approached example. A defendant commits 3 burglaries on different days and while being arrested assaults a police officer. The court sentences the defendant to 2 years for each burglary concurrently with each other and 1 year for assaulting the officer consecutive to the burglary. The defendant therefore serves a total of 3 years. And there's a case here of R versus Hennessy. The Court of Appeal reiterated that the key considerations is to ensure the total sentence is proportionate to the overall offending while also reflecting the discrete nature of separate offences where appropriate. And I'm only referring to the cases even if you don't need these for the SQE 1 assessment, just to highlight where some of the SBAQ questions might come from, and they may arise from some of these cases. And then we now move on to the true or false concurrent and consecutive sentences quiz. Please feel free to pause the video and read the questions and the answers. And again, for Test Your Knowledge 2, please feel free to pause the video and read the answer and the explanation of why the answer is given. Finally, remember, watch all the videos in the SQE Prep Criminal Practice series. Understand the functioning legal knowledge being examined by reading the SQRA website for yourself and that specification. Revise from a really good SQE book. Attend and participate in class. Prepare Q&A flashcards if they work for you. Practice as many SBAQs as possible. And understand the legal principles behind it as well. Subscribe to the channel, Community Legal Education on YouTube. Put your notification on so you don't miss out. Hope you found this class useful. See you in the next class and thank you for watching.